I remember distinctly having to stream on Discord to figure out how to stream on YouTube yesterday.
Okay. Oh, here we go. We're live. I'm just going to put
Oh,
2 minutes on the clock.
Yep. I see a 2:29 up.
That's perfect. I've no idea. Everyone could probably hear this. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I have no idea why that's working now. We are incredibly late, as is our wont here on... what show are we doing now, guys?
Adventuring Party.
okay.
Yeah, I can't read my own handwriting.
All right.
The dog
Check
grooming.
hand now.
The dog grooming special is later. Anyway, we're 2 minutes out. We started now, haven't we? It's a bit shambolic.
Well, sorry, I just said we are live.
And do you know what?
I need you.
Yeah, we are live. We are kind of live. I've got the same thing. I've got countdowns everywhere. I feel like Ozymandias in his television cave of wonders. I'm just going to kill this now because this is not. We're watching YouTube with all of our fans. Now, what thing should I kill first? I think it's this one. Hey, there we are.
Okay.
Scar, do you want to bring us in?
Find out who the real fans are.
I didn't have any time to organise the music.
I'm doing social media.
Okay, so everybody else. Boom ba boom ba boom boom ba 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 boom boom ba boom ba boom 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 doom dum 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 dum. Welcome to the Adventuring Party. Talking about gaming the Irish way. We're going to go clockwise from top left. Welcome.
Are you seeing the same?
Who knows? Welcome, Eva Robot Shane. Welcome, Hida Owen. Welcome, Liam. Welcome, Zauseed. Welcome, Scar. And I'm, as ever, still Savage. It is Christmas. And unlike all of the other way more popular shows, we're actually recording this, we're doing this live. So none of your, I bet they did this in July. None of your sort of toy show filmed in the middle of the summer stuff. We're rounding out the year of.
You can see it's dark outside.
Yeah, it's bloody hot, and Baltic with it. Don't go out there, folks. No unnecessary journeys. So we're kind of rounding out the year.
A toy show in the summer.
I think so. Yeah. It's all those kids have graduated and moved on by the time it airs.
Okay.
So here we are.
They just murdered them
I
out.
have tweeted
and we
I
are.
tweeted and I have Facebooked and I have Discorded and
Good.
there's probably a million other social media channels that I'm going to ignore now.
Do you know what I haven't
put
done?
it on the webpage?
Yeah, sure. Put it all over the place. This, if nothing else, is just a record of just how well we run this ship. Keep bailing. Okay, folks. So there's party members, there's former party members, there's consultants, there's special advisors. We've got spuds, we've got spads, we've got consultants. Even Robot Shane, you hold probably you've got the most names and the most hats to have worn over the years. You were founding member, right? In fact,
We're going that far back.
Yeah, going back to the source.
His name is still on the RSS feed.
There you go.
And that character sheet is my character sheet in the background.
Is it? Oh, wow. I'm glad I didn't get rid of that.
Did that character live, or did you... Oh, yeah, I think you've told the story before.
Doing all right.
And who scribbled all over it? Is that yours as well? For the title.
Well.
So we copied that. We modernized it. Gave it a facelift a couple of years ago. A year ago? It seems like a while ago. But in truth, it's been a year, folks, since the last time we all sat down and did our Christmas shenanigans. And it's fair to say this is probably one of the more unusual Christmas specials that have been done for the podcast over the years, given that we are not eyeing up a bundle of hastily wrapped packages, as is as tradition, but instead we're all nervously eyeballing our emails, because before we came live, we sat down and we rolled some dice and we did some organising, and everybody has now received a gift through Drive-Thru-RPG. And we are going to open them, which is how these things usually go. So, shall we dice off guys. If everyone grab a dice, virtual or otherwise? Shall we dice off to
I
see
think it would be a
who?
good idea to do a formal introduction of each person of themselves because we
Yeah.
don't look like we
Tell you
sound
what.
like, I bet.
I'll stop
very true.
talking. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to start imbibing. And
Sir.
so let's start with seniority before beauty, obviously. So let's go with Evil Robot Shane. You want to kick us off?
That is me. I'm Evil Robot Shane, or Shane, until that got usurped a little bit, didn't it? So let's pass that across as a good segue.
Yes, it did.
In that direction on my screen. That's you, Scar.
Bloody hell.
He's frozen.
Yeah. I'm a usurper. We've established this.
Well, you probably need very little introduction to our current membership, our listenership, as you are the man who will take down the OSR from the inside. Isn't that correct? Okay.
Right.
Moving on.
Me or him?
Moving on, I'm Lean. Hello.
Oh, the old
People
dual
will
double
know me.
Shane problem has reared its ugly head again. Let's kick to Hida.
How's it going, everybody? I am Owen, also known as Hida Owen, who've been hanging around, showing up to mostly give out about Fifth Ed, to be honest. But honestly, you provoke me. You keep asking me about it. So yeah, we're here live, raw, unfiltered, as it were.
A bit like this beer.
No hand of an editor will touch this episode. It's going to go out, warts and all, with all the normal libelous or the slanderous content unredacted. So strap in. Could get
They
extreme.
do say the editing suite adds 10 IQ points, so this is going to be unflattering.
We're all going to sound like Reagan. Okay, Hida, who do you want to throw to?
I am gonna throw to Billy, also known as Zeoseed.
Yes. So first time actually joining one of these things. I think I first turned up with the adventuring party as part of the bits box that Savage did a while back. Savage has known me for a while. Many of you have known me for a while. But I'm sort of just have looped back into the Discord channel and have been hanging about for a bit here. So pleasure to join for this episode.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Glad to have you aboard. Like so many other things about this year, this is slightly different in that we're not restricted to just party members. We kind of have people joining us from all over the world for this virtual Christmas special. Zouseed, who do you want to throw to?
I think it needs to go to Liam.
Hello. I have always said that it's probably good that there's no editor this week, because I've always said that you'll never want to stab anyone more in the throat more than if you edit them for a podcast. Every little and tick and habit they have will just slowly drill into your head throughout the course of the editing process.
Oh,
But,
I stay up to 4 a.m. sometimes.
Can I hide this?
Yeah.
Because I have to
Well,
do it.
I've offered, I'm on holidays for 2 weeks, and I've offered to edit a couple of episodes here for you, but I haven't got any response back, so
I've
Oh,
done
okay.
send them my way.
Done
I'll
something
make a
awful.
note.
Whoops. Never mind. I'm
Liam is
gonna
also
stop touching
AG
things
your
now.
Adventuring party.
Where were we? Sorry about that, folks.
Well, all the intros are done, so we can get on to what we're doing here.
Oh, did I get
Christmas.
it?
Let's throw back to Scar, resident warlord Scar. Scar, what is that?
I am the usurper.
What's that on the wall behind you?
That's okay. That's Saint Teresa, patron saint of Mayo. I can't remember.
What?
Didn't help
Other
them last
things
week.
as well, right?
Probably others. I feel like I can't remember if that saint or another saint was the one. Am I thinking? No, that's Saint Teresa, and I'm thinking of Saint Breach, the one who threw her coat on the ground and it turned into Mayo or something.
You're not in your own
the
house
story.
now, are you?
This is my parents' house, and this is my grandmother's room, and we haven't taken down any of the religious paraphernalia. So I've obscured it by crucifying a Pokemon upside down on the wall.
That's how the Antichrist rose.
I feel like I might be using this phrase a lot. This is unlike other years. Yeah, we're
Okay.
not obviously all gathered in the one location. We
Oh, and have people chosen their tuples of choice or tipples?
Sneaky throw to me. I feel that one might be. Yes, I have. I've chosen my brewery of choice this evening. Wasn't my first choice, but Gill. Shout out to the boys. Are quite hard to find this side of the world. Although I discovered I've thrown out all the
Can
cans.
order on from the internet.
True. But with my sort of organisational skills, it's whatever I could grab on the day. The Gill Brewery, though, deserve a mention there. From kind of roughly my neck of the woods, they do an amazing salt water beer, a lager that is just, it's quite the palate cleanser. They're also they've snuck something into either Aldi or Lidl. It's this kind of weird American buffalo styled thing, but it's a very good beer at the price. Instead,
I'm
this
glad
evening,
that's where you went with it, because when you're talking about sneaking things into drinks, it could have taken a dark turn.
and before the evening is over, who knows? This evening, I'm drinking from the White Hag. And these guys are based just stone's throw from where I grew up. They're a Sligo-based brewery. I've started this evening with Puka, which is a nice dry hopped lemon sour. And let me tell you, folks, I thought I was getting beer in a can. What I have here is a hit of summer, which we definitely need at this end of the year.
I have got Old Mout.
Cider.
It's very.
Good one.
Military
It is,
operations in urban terrain.
I don't know. It is strawberry and pomegranate from New Zealand. It is a cider. It is ripe you are then. Okay, I completely misread that.
How many names does
Pronounced
it have?
incorrectly since 1947. Oh, it's moot cider. Old
So do you
moot
need to
cider.
pronounce that?
Okay.
Do you need to have a swing at that in a New Zealand accent?
Do you need to read over your drink before
I
running
would
it?
punt on that.
Was this handed to you 15 minutes before the session started? Oh, there he goes.
I bought specifically for this. Whew.
Okay,
That's
throw
fruity.
to someone else, Scar, if they have a tipple. they want to introduce.
Liam, explain your Polish sins.
Oh, I was going to go get a nice glass of whiskey, but due to some technical difficulties, I got on pretty late. So I went downstairs. All my tumblers were dirty, so I ended up grabbing a beer from the fridge. So I'm on the finest Polish beer that Tesco had to offer, which is Tiski.
Is that Tishki?
Is that a
Tiski.
is that
That's how you pronounce it.
is that a Canadian Mountie?
Tyskie.
Oh yeah, that's.
My
that-
Slavic diphones are little rusty, but I think it's Tiski.
I'm sure you'll
That is the
slip
stuff
right
when
into it
you're,
after a few of those.
When you're on a tight budget and you need to keep the seizures from happening. That's what I'm going to go for.
Tell
What
me,
was that?
Liam.
Sam Adams.
Tell me, Liam. Is that a Canadian Mountie on the step behind you?
I figured I'd throw some kind of mascot in here, so yeah, I've got a Mr. Tato thrown up there. Even though King would have been my favourite crisp. I've also got a gnome knocking around here somewhere,
He is
which we got from that place in town that isn't Tiger, but slightly fancier and slightly Scandinavian or something. I can't remember the name of the place. Soren's Green.
Oh,
Sounds
right.
like Soylent Green, but it just sells useless crap for your house that you don't need.
Well, let's go back to Mr. Tato, though, as he is the national animal of Ireland. Obviously, the numbers have dwindled in recent years with the introduction of other spuds, but I hear there's a resurgence in the Mr. Tato populations.
Well, they have that wildlife preserve in Meath, with the roller coasters.
Indeed, yeah, it's exactly what it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that sort of effort that preserves our national heritage and, of course, our rich ecology of potato people. Right. Who do you want to throw to, Liam?
Shane. The evil robot one, the original one.
Well, I'm just drinking whatever red wine I was handed by my sister at dinner. My sister is more like me than I am. And
Well
Chilean
dressed.
Malbec.
Ah,
Oh, this one's supposed to be quite nice actually, but I can't really tell the difference, frankly, and my family hate me for it.
Wait, you can't taste anything at the moment?
No, red wine's just red wine. I just like the expensive stuff because it annoys people.
right. Who do you want to throw to Evil Robot Shane?
Oh, sorry. Let's go down to. Sorry, I'm pointing at Owen, not at Mike Todd.
Hello. I'm drinking a traditional Irish classic, which is TK Red Lemonade.
Mighty.
Which you basically, have to explain to people. It's what? It's lemonade. It's coloured red. There's a bit of extra lemon stuff going on. It's hard to explain, but it's very nice with ice.
It's because
Some more
it's used in agriculture, so it can't be sold commercially.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a lot of border smugglers who will take the red out of it and resell it as regular lemonade.
My
You get
granddad,
custom agents going around dipping glasses just to check.
my granddad back in his day, who was a tremendous alcoholic, he used to every morning when I come in, he'd have a glass of red lemonade for me and a glass of red lemonade whiskey for himself, and that was that's what got me started drinking it. There you go.
Heartwarming and tragic.
Absolutely.
Like a good.
That's the Irish heritage. That's the pure Irish bleeding off it,
Oh, we are an Irish podcast. We have a distinctly Irish flavour, no more so than this evening, but we do have some international flavour as well. Eva Robot Shane, you're based outside of the Emerald Isle, aren't you? You're
Funny
joining us.
story, as a matter of fact. Yes, I am, and my work rota had me scheduled to work Christmas Day, so I came back to the old country for an early Christmas, which is all done with social distancing and great ventilation and masks.
Yep.
And I'm in a room on my own at the moment. And then
You might be able to get back.
dirty secrets that the British seem to have been keeping under wraps. and now my flight home has been cancelled, so now I can't work Christmas Day or the following day or the day after that. In fact, my next shift is New Year's Day night, so I'm staying here and having a second Christmas. So this is the day after this is the day after Stephen's Day for me. We did a proper Christmas a couple of days ago, and it was great. So the festivities continue. I'm not coming to you from anywhere exotic. I'm in County Kildare.
Hey, so you're back on home turf, but we do have. Okay, so I've hopefully my information isn't completely incorrect. We do have at least one international man of mystery joining us tonight. Isn't that true?
Yes. So this is in Vienna at the moment, and actually on the international theme. So actually, this thing. What I'm drinking Hibiki, so it's a Japanese whiskey.
Ooh, lovely.
And this one's hilarious because last Christmas my sister ordered a jar of marmalade, like 4-5 quid's worth of just Marks and Sparks marmalade, and then what turned up from Amazon is this. She was like, "I don't drink this. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Yes, please. Yes, thank you very much." And it has found a very good home.
Yikes!
But
especially at marmalade
Very
prices.
good, very free home.
I should order more marmalade online.
What I've noticed about Japanese whiskies is that they tend to open up once they sort of get to blood temperature. Before that, like if they're cold at all, they don't really taste much. Have you tried it
If you
yet?
favour a sweeter tipple, it tends to be they tend to be pretty good.
so I'm actually I have rocks in this to keep it cold. So in fact I'm doing exactly the wrong thing then.
It's an observation, not a criticism.
It's
Anyways,
not the worst thing an Austrian has done.
Okay, well, and thank you all wherever you are, everywhere and anywhere in the world and in Ireland for joining us this evening. If in fact anyone's watching this, we'll be putting it out as a video on demand later on, so you can catch up.
I'm trying to get a tab on our watching numbers, but like Chrome is dying.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay,
I'm
so
holding its guts in
will
right
we
now.
will we move on then to the reason I've gathered you all here this evening, to reveal presents and not a murderer.
Sure.
Right. Yes, I know it's the bit we've all been waiting for. Why the hell else would anyone come on this show at Christmas? It's time to unwrap our presents. So before the show, we crunched some numbers, and everybody is sitting on an email, hopefully, from Drive Through RPG. So how are we going to decide who goes first? Because we didn't discuss
Gosh,
this.
I wonder.
Any
Well, the
ideas?
tradition is the dice game, but it's going to have less punch when we do it online and just click a tab.
If only there was some way to randomly... tell you what, I'm going to pull up a dice. I'm going to roll a d6. Get a real d6.
Ooh.
No, wait, I packed my entire life away. We'll have to go with our virtual d6.
Come on.
And
Thanks.
Why have you packed your life away?
work stuff. I literally started a new job 2 weeks ago, which requires all of my space. I'm supplying IT equipment to intercompany, and it just means that I need build space for this. No one wants to hear this, but I'll tell you all. It's the first of our Christmas questions for reasons I'm going to go into. Okay, so find me a dice. I've got all the things.
I have one here if you want.
Oh, if you got a D6 to hand, Liam, we are going to trust your.
Well, I have an internet D6 on this screen here, so.
Actually, a physical D12s.
Go
that I
nuts.
use to track momentum.
D12, there you go. Physical dice, better.
All right.
Alright.
So you split it up. Based on your screen, Liam, you just tell us who's starting the proceedings.
All right. Well, I got Shane, Owen, me, Savage, Shane, second Shane, and Zowseed.
Sorry, man.
Damn, this is good. It reminds me of Lambic. Any of you ever?
So roll your D12, please, Owen.
Alrighty. 11.
11. Okay, so that'll be Zowseed. So.
Okay. Well, hang on, let me go click. So I have been gifted a copy of Godbound, a game of Divine Heroes, which has actually been on my radar. I was like, I must take a look at that for a bit. So I will definitely now be taking a look at that. Thank you very much. From Scar, yes. Confirming.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
What prompted you
I've had my own copy for a while.
Yeah.
It's an OSR product, and I know we're sort of you are OSR consulting specialist at the moment. A cross that you've taken off my back in some ways.
That's
Crosshairs.
Godbound's OSR Exalted, though.
Column A, column B.
Cool.
Like, Godbound's OSR Exalted, it's quite far from this is just, like, basic box D&D with some different... Like, you're playing Epic Heroes. This isn't, like, just, there's almost no mechanic. It's just straight... Like, it uses the trappings of some basic stuff, but its focus is really, you are the hero that could take on, like, 1,000 mortals would fall as wheat before your scythe, sort of thing. It's not like... It's a really, really cool game, which does quite a lot with the basic engine in terms of going, this is not, you have hit points, sure, but these are not the hit points that a mortal could take off.
Okay.
It's good stuff. It's very good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Excellent. Right. Let's get another roll of the dice.
Absolutely.
Alright, reroll 11 12s. 1. That'll be original chain. Evil robot chain.
Alrighty. Let's look in my email hole. This is from Billy. And this is a bundle. Or it's not a bundle, is it? It's some stuff. But accurate. We've got 3rd edition Bunnies and Burrows. Home of Adventure Design. Oh. Fever Dreaming Marlinko. There's no pictures or anything of any of this, so I need to open up a webpage or something. And Wormskin issue 1. Perhaps you could talk me through what some of these things are.
These are what you've got is a grab bag of let's say a sampler block of not terribly expensive things that I have on reasonable certainty are good. So I'm not going to feel too bad if any one of these things comes up as like a dud. So Bunnies and Burrows, cross my radar is like, hey, this is it was like a good alternate system from way back in the day, and basically Frog God is saying like, here, have it now for not a lot. So it's like, that's a good one.
Right.
The adventure, similarly to the adventurers.
Is it kind of a cutesy, cartoony kind of a thing, like the Veggie Patch or Toon or something like that? Is that the sort of lighthearted?
I'm thinking a bit it's on that spectrum, not as far as Toon. Sort of halfway between, I think, standard and Toon kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah.
Then the advice one was one, literally I'm thinking of getting it for myself, and I was like, why not? Fever Dream Malenko is one. That set is fantastic, and it's my favorite of those four from like Slumbering Ursine Dunes, Misty Isles at the Edge, Quato Frog Demons, and Fever Dream Malenko. They're like four things from this like OSR bunch called the Hydra Collective. Have a look at it. If it's the How to Do Cities, and it's this kind of like acid Slavic fantasy setting. It jammed full of ideas, like really sort of stripped down, like here's some good stuff, go where you will with it. Based off, originally seeded off Art of War Bears, that classic like sort of Slavic, a bear wandering around with a pike over his shoulder stuff. So it's good stuff. And the Wormskin, I just dug through them recently. Again, similarly, something I've had a fish through. There's a couple of them. It was there, so like, if you like it, there's more of them. I've actually just gone through a review of those recently, and they're great kind of like fey, ley lines, woodlands thing. I think great toolkit stuff that you can like just rummage through, go like, love these ideas, take them, plug them in.
Wow,
So,
that's really well thought through, and consider it. Thank you very much indeed.
no worries.
See, I told you there'd be a bunch of lying and thanks like during this.
Well, that's a good thing about going with the scattergun. It's like, okay, well, I don't know if you like any one of these things, but I got a spectrum of 4 things, and that could work out pretty well.
Take the shot.
Hedge your bets.
Actually, I think Bunnies and Burrows, especially I've got a table of newbies, and we're running through a campaign of a different game at the moment. But I'd like to go for something lighter, and I think that's the sort of thing that might really appeal to them. So yeah, that will certainly be on the list of options come game change time.
Cool.
The whimsy of it
Cheers.
all.
Right, that's 2 down. So, roll them bones.
Excellent. Well, so there's 4 people left, so we can go to
Stick
1
with
to
the
3
D12.
and so on.
Yeah.
D12s are just so good.
Two.
They're so
Gotta be
versatile.
yourself.
All right, I have got a present from the noble Savage here. So let's pop
Crispy,
into...
experiencing some connection difficulties.
Huh?
Absolutely.
We can hear
However,
you, Scar.
we have a grab bag of material. We have the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Sly Flourish's Fantastic Locations, and the Anatomy of Adventure. Excellent. So let's take a buzz at this.
So Sly Flourish wrote those first 2. The Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, I feel, is a must-have for just about anyone who's running genre fantasy games. It doesn't have to be D&D per se, but I've had good word from other people that he has a sort of a framework that you can apply to almost any sort of game you're sitting down and running for 4 or 5 people, and you just don't have any time. He makes it really simple to get a grasp on what you do and don't want or need to prep in those kind of crucial 45 minutes, hour before a session. Now, you're going to have established characters and settings and things like that, but I found it remarkably useful for settling my own hash when it came into the pre-game jitters. His Fantastic Locations, I haven't read, but generic material. I hope you enjoy it. And the last one, I kind of threw in just in case you had either of those, as he's fairly well known. And that last one is another. What the hell did I just buy? I can't even remember what the last.
Anatomy
one
of Adventure?
The Anatomy of Adventure. We're seeing an awful lot of examples of games being played, but I think there's an awful lot going on under the hood. It's just as well some people are writing about why adventures happen or are structured the way they are, because it isn't classic 3-act, it isn't a TV show. Adventures have their own anatomy, and it's good to see people doing a bit of writing around what makes adventures tick, as opposed to, make your game like a TV show or make your game like a play.
Because I've expanded at length on these topics about the lack of much formal writing on it. And
so hopefully you'll find something. I don't know. Are you familiar with any of them?
No. Well, I knew about Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Did not have it.
Great.
Just downloaded it there. Was flicking through it.
My job is done. Great art as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I, so the lies and the ego massaging continue. I'm delighted that you don't have that stuff. If you are indeed really Hida. Right before I
genuinely do not have them.
before I spiral completely out of control, who's next?
Next up is 5.
5. That would be Savage.
Right, okay, time to open an email. I've been really good. I haven't even ruffled my presence, which I'm notorious for. So this is coming from Liam. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I've
got you like this one.
Oh, the Alien RPG starter set.
Oh, nice.
This has been very well reviewed. This has gotten a lot of good heat. And not in
a host or former host Humbug has been trying to wrangle us together to run that intro session. So I haven't played it through myself, but it's certainly highly reviewed. And I figured you would be a fan of the Alien movies, at least the first 3. Certainly the first 2.
You know what? It's not one I'd use as a campaign setting, but I really like the third one for some of the things it tries to do. And I've seen all the Alien movies. The great thing about the first and second one especially, are just how many GIFs there are. So when I'm running this online sometime next year, I'm going to be able to, game over, man, or they're coming out of the walls, all of that stuff.
Well, from talking to Humbug about this, it seems it covers the stuff from the original movies. It covers stuff from the new movies as well.
Right.
It doesn't seem to have any crossover with the Predator stuff, and it doesn't cover the Dark Horse comics. But it also covers Alien Isolation as well. So it's got a lot of material in there as well. Now, I don't know how much that's in the starter set, but that's in the core rules itself.
Well, I will crack it open with interest. I can't remember. I think the last time I ran anything sci-fi was...
but it's dirty sci-fi. Old, gritty sci-fi, with screens that go...
Yeah, old, decrepit, grimy. These are words that have been used to describe me in the past, so I'll be able to set the tone for a session. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we're down to the final 2.
It's Freya Liga. They did it themselves. I'm not sure what the actual system is. I haven't played it.
I think they baked their own, if I recall. I can't quite recall, but I'm pretty sure they...
Someone did it, but I do not remember the details.
There's a few different things, like bad guys will have like a table of actions that they might take if they're the more iconic ones. So like facehuggers may jump at you and try and tear your face off, or they may skitter into a shoot or something like that. And I think there's a lot to do with building up suspense as well.
Oh, I do like that. Yes, I intend to run a lot more Theatre of the Mind in the coming year, and this is kind of, I think I could have a lot of fun with that and the aliens or the xenomorphs. So I think we're down.
It did get a lot of. It did get one of the things I was reading in terms of the response to the system was that it fits.
Yeah.
It's not, and it fits more kind of with the feel of the original movies. It's not like high action adventure. It's grimy, it's dirty, and it's not a nice galaxy.
There doesn't have to be a lot of them out there. They just have to be looking for you. Right, so I think we're down, it's mano a mano at this point, isn't it?
It is.
Yep.
So...
And the D12 still serves us well here.
It does, yeah.
There you go.
5.
5, so that would be low. So, who's left? Oh, it's just me. That is me. Ah, there we go. Well, no, because we're going off my screen, so you're on the bottom right of my screen, so I'm in the top right on my screen. Okay, so I got Shane this time, so... We'll take a look through. What have we got? Over the Edge, 3rd edition.
Oh.
What is Over the Edge? Is that also Free League?
No, Over the Edge is an older RPG. It was kind of like an action movie one. Sort of came at a similar time to Feng Shui.
The artwork.
Like it.
The
Set on
artwork
this
reminds
weird
me
island.
Kind of Don't Rest Your Head.
Yeah, so it's famous for being really weird, and the reason that it is familiar to me is that there was a copy. It was one of the games that there was a copy of in the Gaming Society cupboard that Liam and I were in university, which is kind of how we really got into it. And I've never played it, but I did get a copy of this new edition of it. I assumed that it just disappeared years ago. But I did a Secret Santa thing at a Christmas party for gamers last year, and I ended up with a copy of this, which is really nice and shiny, and it's not PDF at all. And that one is. But yeah, people speak very highly of it, and people who have played it love it. And I did expect that Owen would be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting on explaining what this one is, because he has vast data banks.
Over the Edge sits alongside things like Unknown Armies, doesn't it? Perhaps even more.
Very
Classic RPG of counterculture, conspiracy, weird science, and urban danger. Sounds pretty good.
Robin D. Laws, I believe, is one of the designers, and Jonathan Tweet.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you took all the laughs out of Paranoia and put it on an island, or set it like The Prisoner, and then threw in the counterculture.
Reading through the blurbs here, I like it that it seems to have it. So the actual resolution mechanics are simple enough, but you've got 3 strikes and you're dead. But it's only when you start to take strikes that you can really do more dramatic stuff and kind of invoke bigger powers, which is good.
It had a CCG that came out really shortly after Magic the Gathering. It was like one of the really early CCGs was Over the Edge.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Right,
and then there was one. It is indeed. We've lost video for you, Scar. But
sorry. I sorry.
May or may not
Discord completely crashed on me, and I didn't realize I had to restart the video.
Here he comes.
Oh, there you go. Back.
Excellent.
There's that handsome face.
Well, do we have to double check the D12 just to be sure?
Yeah, let's see. I'd rolled a number, specifically 1.
Okay. Well, that's not ominous. Okay, so from Owen, I have gotten Cyberpunk RED.
Nice.
The brand new version of Cyberpunk by what's his name?
Ties in with the game as well, doesn't it? 2077.
Is it the Son of Pons?
Yes, but I will note that the Cyberpunk Red RPG is actually fully functional and runs on all systems. All tabletops, it will run.
The developers have seen their families in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, it's topical, folks. It's definitely live. There isn't a Ryan Tuberty or a hootenanny in sight. So, what can we say about Cyberpunk Red, the RPG? It's been out.
Has anybody had any contact with it?
I've read it. It's a modern tune-up of a 90s classic. I've definitely called it a classic. It's the same bones as that original game. They've taken out some of the fiddly bits and kind of streamlined other things. Like really interesting combat system still. A little less detailed than the original Friday Night Firefight, but the bones of that, I mean... They make some decisions in it that are... To shoot somebody, you have to be able to see them. If they're out of line of sight, you can't attack them. You have to move so that they're in line of sight. Now, normally games go, if you're behind a chest-high wall, there's the penalty to shoot you. This game goes, no, you can't shoot that person. But they allow you to split your move up and your action, so you can step out of cover, shoot somebody, then step back into cover. So it's a very tactically interesting game from that point of view, because of that bit. And you have to go, actually, this is actually all about flanking people. Because you have someone standing behind a concrete pillar and they step out, shoot us, then step back inside. We're like, I can't shoot him back. I've got to run up to shoot him. I've got to basically move around. And it makes a very different game from that point of view. They've tuned up some stuff.
How do I hack stuff?
So rather than my favourite resolution method, which was to go off and play a game of Netrunner to determine who hacked who, this one now works a bit like an elevator, effectively, and the GM builds a set of encounters. Like there's 2 programs on the first floor and a data node. There are 3 hostile programs on the second floor and maybe a turret control, and so all down the way. And you basically have to keep going down levels until you get to and resolve the final level, which will probably have that's probably where the information is hidden, but not necessarily. So you can go, okay, I've got so many actions to go down. And one of the things about it is you go, okay, I've got 3 net actions or 1 meat action. So meat action is what everyone else does. 3 net actions being, I could do 3 net things on my turn, like go down a level, go down a level, go down a level. But if you try moving off levels with the stuff on it, stuff goes very wrong for you. So it's a good mixture of crunchy enough to replicate what it's like without devouring the entire session. See, and you also have to do it on site. That's one of the things about it, because the way that the lore is gone, you need to actually be physically at the location you're trying to hack it. Because there's no long-range internet anymore. You have to be physically there. And you basically have to go up, find your AR goggles, find the access point, and be like logging in while people are shooting bullets at you, going, can someone take care of that? I really can't. I don't have time to dodge.
The world's
Speaking
most
of somebody
dangerous-
who works in works in kind of networks in general, it is shocking how many servers and chassis don't have lockdown console ports.
Yeah. So in this version of our digital future, you're engaged in the most lethal game of Pokemon Go ever. You just got to get out there and find those nodes. I'm taking a quick sneaky look at the starter set here, and it's not just the book, which is gorgeous production, but there's markers, there's maps, there looks like an intro adventure, separate character sheets and card backs and initiative and gear and all the rest. Really nice package for this starter set, folks.
It's everything you need to run that kind of intro session.
I'm thinking of cranking up the printer and bringing this with me to kind of paste together over Christmas week. Okay, so
I'm trying to read through through my PDF here, but I might have to drop it into a PDF reducer because this is big and rich.
Well, I think I don't think there was a dud and bunch this year,
PDF
folks.
reader cry.
So that's it. Thanks everyone for coming, and that's the show. Bye bye.
Wait, wasn't there a list of questions from people?
We do.
a genuine mailbag?
Hold on a second.
Mailbag. Oh, there it goes.
So, moving on to the next section, we have, from White Hag again, the Phantom. The last one was the Puka. I hope we're detecting
You're
it.
drinking a lot quicker than I am.
The
They're only wee, I
day
guess.
Oh.
What's the tagline for the Phantom?
I some forth to strike the 10
Hollywood
tigers.
production. It's a bloody beer.
Phantom.
Who do you think they've got writing for them? Mark Laidlaw? No, it's just Phantom. It's a hazy IPA.
The other one you had, like, it's citrusy, whatever.
Oh,
so, like,
sure.
why should you buy the Phantom instead of the Puka?
They're better writers for this one. This was a dry hop lemon sour, berry hibiscus and ginger. Whoa.
One thing I will give the White Hag guys is that they do print on the beer what it is.
Yeah.
The amount of craft beer that you have to stare at it and look at it and maybe do a search online to figure out what in the hell it is like, all right, okay, so it's an imperial stout. Okay, right.
Yeah, I briefly considered buying something that was called "It's not really you, it's not really me, but it is us," and I was like,
I just wanted to say lager or dark lager or stout, and then I'll pick it up. And if it's not, then I probably won't.
a hazy IPA, and with
Thin
it,
white can with black military stenciling on it. Beer.
ordinated beer product.
Yes.
With a hazy IPA comes some crystal clear questions and some very murky answers. As we move on to, I've lost my windows. We move on to
I have them up here.
a Q&A. So we reached out to you guys during the week, very recently, looking for questions that we might answer. And can everyone see the document? Has everyone had a look at it?
I can't want to.
We can indeed. I can indeed.
Can't you just read it out?
So, yeah, there's a lot of questions here. We may not get through everything. I think we'll read a question from everybody.
We can go rapid fire on some of the longer ones.
Yeah. So let's kick off with no particular attention to detail. Do we have anything else from other portals, Scar? Did we get anything through Twitter or?
I've been checking.
Conrad said he fired off some. Maybe you could check Conrad Kinch's. Because he'll give me merry hell if we don't answer one of those
I
obtuse
checked Twitter.
questions. Anyway, first off,
Nothing else is coming to Twitter. He dumped a whole bunch of stuff, but it's already in the document.
oh, we have it. Do we?
There is some in there.
Yeah, I put it
There are questions.
Lovely, brilliant. Okay, see, I have no control over this anymore.
Let's do one from each individual asker, and then see if we want to cycle around.
Okay, I'll take this first, or I'll read out this first one. Spez Baby. These are in no particular order, but Spez Baby asks us, and I think we already know the answer. In the future, when all D20s are banned, and destroyed due to their reminiscence of 2020. What die type would the party like to see assume the throne in the F20 Empire?
The D12's done well tonight.
D12. Hands up for D12. Pretty.
Unless we want to go weird and go with the Goodman Games D24 or D30.
A lot of time for D30.
Yeah. I will say the D100 is very useful in that way because you can replicate most of the probability of D20 without with a little more granularity. But the old D12 has served us well. The Barbarian hit dice and great axe damage has.
We are in the internet age, and most of your virtual tabletop simulators, which is what I think most of us are doing or gaming on these days, can roll whatever dice you want. So, I mean, I think that the D213 is due a rise.
D37, man. Only way to go.
Just prime Ds from here on in. The D12. On a serious note,
I'm going to describe the old man, and I feel like we could just go back to D6s. If we have no D20s, I think.
Percy, burn him.
I feel like it would be D6s for me. I don't know. Like, it means going back to the bell curve, which is a very
different.
different.
If going that way, then I'm going to be one of those weird tech priest guys who has this cult of the D12, like this is forgotten technology, and like everybody's gone D6, but we need to remember the old ways.
I'm with you.
D12 can adequately serve the function of a D6, brother.
The D, like it's just so. In fact, let's talk about all the reasons we should be using base 12 anyways. It's so versatile. It does hexes, it does squares, it does points on the compass, it does the clock face. It's divisible by 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, and 1. It has it's lots of versatility for reasons. Both aesthetic, it's gorgeous dice. Look at it, just look at it.
Yes, exactly that, and I knew you were going to be weird about that.
So,
right.
I think
that's settled that one. I think the D12 gets our vote. So, moving on to our next question.
Yep.
Who wants to read this
one?
one?
Out. You heard it here first.
Alright, so this is from listener DM. And his question is, what RPG or RPGs due in 2021 are you most looking forward to? I guess for me, probably because I backed the Kickstarter and so it's due to arrive at some stage in 2021, it's going to be Twilight 2000, the new one that Free Liga are putting out. I've gotten the alpha, I haven't had a chance to read it, I'll probably do so over Christmas, but so far what I've seen, it seems pretty good, and generally they got a reputation for pretty solid games, solid sets.
What's this? Sorry?
Twilight 2000.
Yes.
Free Liga, who brought you Tales from the Loop and Alien.
Oh, they're the Tales from the Loop guys. I love that book. That's a great book. Their layout chops are strong. Wouldn't be everyone's taste, but I quite like how they make everything. They really sell tone in everything they do. Anyone else want to take this one? I'm not really forward looking.
3 things I'm looking for. Fading Suns, the new edition, which looks really nifty. And I'm looking forward to playing. Really quite a funky little system, but I'm kind of there for that. Doing something very different with normal from D20s. The 6th edition of Pendragon, because I've run 2 of the 3 great campaigns. I've run Mask of Hotep. I've run running the Enemy Within. And when I've got that done, I might run the Great Pendragon campaign, though I might run in Battletech. I'm debating on that topic. The 3rd one is a new RPG, Asunder. I just backed on Kickstarter, which is a fantasy RPG set in a world without metal. And I'm always interested in seeing what people do that's kind of... I've done a different setting, and I'm like, okay, let's see if you've actually fully explored the implications of this, or is it just aesthetics? Or is it actually stuff very different?
Like Japan level of the metal, where they have like swords, but not enough to put together armor and stuff?
All of the weapons seem to be grown from like plants or hacked out of, made from animal parts, that's it.
Like no metal is like...
No metal.
We're dead.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm interested in seeing. So those are 3 I'm looking forward to.
I saw some nods along from Zausid there. You've heard of Sunder, yeah?
Yeah, I was looking at that exactly. It almost looked like a we didn't develop metalworking technology. We developed early biotech, as in, my horn blades and sort of creatures you hold that throw things at people types, like really weird and interesting stuff. Like Owen, it's sort of a question of like, is it just aesthetic, the same stuff reskinned, or is it like run through with what does it mean?
Cool.
Saw that one.
Fingers crossed. Anyone else want to throw anything up, or will we move on?
I'm just not up to the list of what's coming up. I've become very backwards looking. I tend to look at a lot of supplements. Like I'm really following the development of the second Matt Colville Kickstarter, the Kingdoms of Warfare.
Okay. He
and
landed his Strongholds
also
book
sort of-
last year.
Yeah. Well, the first Strongholds book came out like late 2018, I believe.
Right. It's been a while.
And he's been developing the sequel book, which is about running a kingdom or other organization. I've been following him on Twitter as he iterates through, not Twitter but Twitch. Like he's regularly showing what he's developing, and he's been going through a whole bunch of warfare processes and how to make a kingdom into a simple set of stats, and why does my chaotic neutral rogue care about running a kingdom, etc., etc. So the other main set of supplements I'm looking forward to is Goodman Games have still been re-releasing a whole bunch of classic modules reincarnated, I believe. I've been following them as they've been going through the greats. I have four of the first five. The fifth one is Castle Amber. It's recently out. There's a copy or two in Gamers World if people want to get it. If they want to have a manor house full of crazy French wizards, and then to wander around France getting eaten by giants, because apparently that's how it works in D&D. Their next big project is they are re-releasing an attempt, I think, possibly attempting to fix the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Jinkies.
Classic.
Bit of a money pit,
the
that
classic.
One.
It's the Gygax 6 months before being fired, giving up and handing off his second great campaign to his minion Frank Menser in order to create a workable product, and there are parts of it that are really well liked.
It's got such a rep. Such a rep.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those ones that's just stuck around. Like people have been talking about it forever. A whole bunch of stuff has faded into no one talks about it. But Temple of Elemental Evil, like people are still talking about it. So like there's a seed of something there that people really love.
Yeah.
It's not just because it's cruel for the sake of cruel. You not just have the same effect by sitting your players down and just periodically just reaching across the table and slapping them.
Are you thinking of Tomb of Horrors?
No.
Elemental Evil has some. Elemental Evil isn't as nakedly
malicious,
antagonistic, but neither is it nice, and it's a real mess. I've seen it done badly so many times. Like, let's do it again. There was a computer game. There's been 2 or 3 editions of it. I have the 3.5 version of it. It is not very good.
Isn't that the one with the room that you don't want to walk into? Because if you do, that's that.
Jeez, you could be a bit more specific than that.
All right, the one that you walk through, you've no way of seeing it coming, but there's a spear of annihilation.
That's Tomb of
Horrors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, there's. Well, I you see that, like the room you can't get out of. There's another one. What the hell? I don't know what this is from, but one of them which like you can only get into it through using a certain effect, but once you get in there, that effect dies, and there's no way to get it back. And that's it.
Yeah.
This is the room that you die in now. There you go.
Okay, so before
sorry,
we...
just jumping in here.
Yep.
We've got, because this is live, totally, definitely, legit, we've got Mr. E saying that the die type we should move on to is 2d6 to get a bell curve probability. And, like, strong
Okay.
point. Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
E.
E is my D6.
Okay. Mystery
But,
runs our
no,
Discord
you're wrong,
server.
because the
Yeah,
correct
he's-
answer
So
is,
he's got extra votes.
No,
40.
he's very good at what he does, but clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh.
Well, fudge is just D3
All right,
essentially,
all right,
though.
all right, Hotshot. How do
Yeah,
you
but
roll a
it's
1, huh? How do you roll a 1
true.
with 2d6? Can't have crit failures without 1.
You can go D4, D8 as well. That's
Well,
all.
I think the point is more just multiple dice. The actual dice doesn't matter essentially. It's just that it evens out a lot of the probability. Then just a flat line of probability to, well, let's make the events we want peaked at the middle because we've got multiple dice involved. We've all played Settlers. We know how that works.
He's gonna slide into my DM.
I mean, except for those games where you like everybody consistently rolls 11s.
Yeah. We've got Plastic Crack Gaming in our YouTube. Can we all ask us, what's the crack, folks? So,
We need to move it along. Okay, so
All
moving
right,
on. Okay.
Mr. Target sent in like 9 questions here, so
All
I'd
right.
say we just pick one each and answer it with no discords back and forth. So I'm gonna kick it off with whiskey or whiskey. The correct
Whiskey.
answer is whiskey. Irish whiskey is far superior to Scotch. We distill it 3 times. They distill it twice. They need to put it back in there for another go.
Bottle of
That's
Lagavulin.
it. That's all I got to say to that.
I don't know. I think
Who's next?
they're good at some things. Yeah, someone else jump on one of Mr. Target's.
what is the most overrated RPG? Well, you know what I'm going to say. But in addition to
True.
5th Ed, I would say Vampire the Masquerade 1st Edition. Easily the most overrated RPG. Dreadful RPG from mechanics level.
I would agree
Just
with you.
dog
Just
worst.
because I'm sick of hearing about it.
Just the dog worst.
All right, who's next?
I'm gonna grab. What is the most?
Sorry, is each person answering one, or are we answering?
Yeah, everyone's answering
What
one.
is-
Shane.
Everyone
So,
just pick
Pick
one
one
and
up,
answer it.
fire.
What is the most aerodynamic game in your collection? For me, it has to be Savage Worlds Explorers Edition. Is there anything that little pocket of joy cannot do? You can use it as a frisbee. It's wonderful. Perfect band.
I choose.
I could probably throw Invisible Sun quite a distance. It's like just a big cube.
Get it to roll.
So I'm going to answer whiskey or whiskey. I believe the correct spelling of whiskey is Whiskey, and the people who leave out the E are
Scottish.
traitors to the country. Well, they're also that, but that's basically the same thing.
So I've
Which
got
is what they did. They left Ireland and went to Scotland, yes. More or less, yeah, you're accurate there, Shane.
Evil Robot Shane. Do you want to grab one there?
Right, I'll go for question 8. Thanks, Mr. Target. Larps, discuss. Yes.
Thank
Not this year.
you. Yeah.
Not this year.
And if I gotta go with one, then the
You had
Smooth
something.
Jazz Glam Rock. Why not?
Absolutely, yeah.
Smooth jazz.
Punk
or
wasn't on
glam
there
rock?
as an option, so
Wait, what's your answer?
Glam Rock.
Over smooth jazz?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I've got
look. There was no discussion, no context. This was it.
So
The man's
many
giving his answer.
so many things I've got to change about my next bits box. Right,
Hey.
let's move on.
Okay, fine.
Is that everyone?
I'll post a
Look,
picture of
everyone-
me in kiss makeup onto the Discord channel.
Liam,
I mean, you're nearly there already.
if you'll do it, I'll do it with
Hold on,
you.
I think some-
I had a twirly mustache as well.
Zowseed, do you want to field a question from this next caller?
Well, actually, you know what? Scrub the first one. The thing I want to know is, and in the theme of like Christmas in general, given the absolute tidal wave of like PDFs, bundles, deals, stacks, things, how is everybody managing and keeping track of their like stashes?
So digital stuff, I just have a folder. That's it. Everything goes into the folder, and that's fine. RPGs, like physical books, they're on a bookshelf. That's fine, or they're in a box in the attic for the next convention. Board games, I have a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet purely came about because I have kind of 2 friends who I regularly, well, not now, but I was regularly board gaming with, and invariably, if there was a board game released, all 3 of us would pick up a copy. So basically, we started buying a copy and then loaning it to each other or turning up to each other's houses to play it, and then we weren't getting that same duplicate and triplicate problem. So that's me.
I've got a shed.
Okay.
It's really full. I need to. Like GaleCon not running this year or next year has been a disaster. I had this whole plan, but I was going to get rid of a bunch of games. Just go, guys. There's a
Boxes
bring
in the
and
attic.
buy
I'll
whatever.
join you at the first con.
You know, there you go. Just work away, lads.
Are you pricing
Knock
a
it
second
out.
shed as we speak?
Oh no, I'm stripping content. There's games there I'm never going to play again. So it's like, okay, just cut bait. There's some stuff in there that I'm happy hanging around. There's also stuff like I'm never going to play this again. I played it, didn't much think much of it. It's gone.
I feel like that question was asked by somebody else. Was it? Did Shane? Or sorry, Did Sean ask that question as well somewhere? Host Sean, I think, might have stuck it in a chat or something. Anyways, but yes, what was the question? How do I manage bundles?
How do you keep track of your
all the
stuff?
PDFs, like the thousands
Oh,
of
right.
stuff.
That's easy. I neither read nor play games. Let's go.
Okay, for you, how do you
just
keep
look at
track
the
of
pictures.
all of them walls and bridges and random stuff you make for your game?
You see that red lump? That's about 7 documents.
It's all buried in there.
I kid you not. That's about 7 document boxes full of scenery.
Right.
And there's
So for
more.
anybody who's a fan of black books, you're going for the
So
Bernard Black
I've priced-
accounting system.
Yeah, I've priced up some storage space for next year. There's a lockup in Cabra that's going to be a
So just get a
Narnian
styro and
closet.
stick it up in the attic.
We've got this weird lowered ceiling in this house. It's like there's 2 attics and neither of them are any use.
Huh.
But so storage space in Cabra. Get hunting, folks. You'll find a treasure trove. Right, let's crack on. Uber
Well,
Alex.
I could just say that
Go
I
ahead.
don't manage my PDFs, or I just I haven't I don't even download them. Is the thing so many of them are just kind of waiting. Like it's like my Steam
bundles,
account
that's how
all
they
over
get you.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have
getting-
an answer to this,
Making
but
you
it's
give
like
money to
a
charity.
dysfunctional person.
What's that evil robot, Shane?
Yeah, I've got an answer to this that isn't like a dysfunctional person. It's on my my phone and tablet. You know, there's a folder of files, and in there there's like bank statements, and you open that and there's some bank statements, and there's like boat insurance stuff, and you look in there and there's some boat insurance stuff, and then there's gaming, and if you open that, then you make a sound check because it's like looking into infinity. But it's all ordered. Like there's just a lot of different games, and each one is then within that divided into different editions, and each one of them might be divided into different campaigns and so on. So like it's very many layers deep, but it is organized, and I think that was kind of what the question was about.
Yeah.
Just have a proper file hierarchy.
Put a hat on so I can take it off to you. Well done. That sounds adult and sane. I'd like to buy your pamphlet. This one.
Make sure your boat insurance is up to date.
That was actually your
off to answer them.
question. How do you manage the load?
I don't. I've realised I have a problem with book goblinism, and I'm looking for help. I basically for stuff that's big, I have a Pathfinder folder, I have a D&D folder, I have for stuff that's big names where they would have editions where there's a lot that goes in a class. It's fine, but when I'm going around, I'm going here is the zine this one dude has ever put out. It's okay, I chuck it in my big OSR zines folder, which is now just now it's as good as having no folder, because it's just the folder with everything in it, and I have no idea what's in there because no one has any file naming discipline. So
I mean,
Maybe put
is a solution
non-red?
increasing the amount of space your computer has given over towards indexing? So then when you do a search, it will find it.
My computer knows what things are.
I don't even know what's in the files
Well,
at this point. There's PDFs that
then you could just be, half remember looking for something, so I'm going to just go Control F and search.
Oh yeah, maybe.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try brute forcing it.
Let's crack on. And Zazie, that you replaced one of your questions with someone else's. The sacrifice play makes you the Tony Stark of this group. But we'll crack on to Uber Alex, who has sent in a couple of questions. Does anyone want to pick one there?
Sure,
rattle
I'll
off
go
really quickly.
ahead. Ooh. These are all tough ones.
They're about to get
Maybe I
quick.
should roll D3.
Skip the middle one.
Let's go with the first one. What tools, techniques, and ideas will you take from the COVID virtual gaming experience forward into the resumed physical sessions?
You picked my question. God damn you, Scar. Yeah.
Can I mute players?
Ooh.
That's.
For me, I think it's mainly that I'm more willing to scrounge up resources and display them. So probably just start using like a tablet in the middle of the table that shows off X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and be more willing to just prep things ahead of time, and learning how to manage information, because I was learning how to minimize the amount of hot swapping of books that I needed to do. So putting as much stuff up on my browser as rather than referencing 57 different books as my default. Because even when we were back, table space is not infinite.
True. Very true. I'd be very tempted to try using the sort of virtual sheets for monsters to simply run the monster encounters. So the characters can have their sheets and bits of paper and whatever, but I'd be very tempted to use something like the Roll20 system or any of the numerous SOD sort of based number crunchers or D&D Beyond to simply run the monsters. Use those systems to calculate attack rolls or determine strength checks, everything else, and have it hitting lights. Have it on a screen there that the players could see. I'm not fudging anything, but I'm just keeping my mental math low by just punching the numbers and letting them spit out on screen.
I'd suggest even just like you have it, you are using Roll20 just for all the bookkeeping. That's it. Never mind like it has a screen that the players have to see. Maybe you're still writing things and all that, but just having all of that number crunching that you're minimizing what you're having to flick through is helpful.
In my gaming table, I've got a TV built into it, and it's under boards. But my plan is, if we're playing in person again, the VTT is just going to generate the maps and populate it, and I'll be like, bam, there's your yoke. Won't be able to do this much feedback and dynamic moving of pawns around, but I might be able to do a little moving of pawns around. Basically, have an exploration aspect to it, which would be nice because, like, there's the map. I'm not spending any time drawing the map. Beep. The computer does the map for me, and then I can like open doors and they'd be able to see into the place and stuff. And I think it'll be quite cool.
You've seen those beautiful animated maps that you search on YouTube and you'll find gorgeous animated maps. They're just
So
even just things like the fog of war and stuff is kind of cool,
Very, very good.
Although I did find, and it's true in physical tabletop and not true necessarily in Roll20, I found a lot of players had a hard time staying engaged with the game if there was stuff happening somewhere they couldn't see. And I was going around everybody's turn and taking 5 minutes, and they said to me, look, if we could just see what's happening, I mean, we're not going to metagame or anything. It's just much easier to visualize what's going on, and I believe them. So yes,
I believe they believe that they won't metagame.
But I do like the line of sight stuff. If there was some way to emulate that on tabletop that wasn't ruinously sort of time consuming, that'd be something to take over as well. Because I do like the kind of finger tipping around in the dark aspect of dungeon crawls, which you often lose when you can sort of see the corridor ahead of you, no matter what your character can see.
The way I do it is I would give the PC or the laptop to one of the players and have them navigate around while you're doing stuff. Then that's busy work you're just not taking care of, and they're clicking and opening doors and moving everybody through so everyone can see what's going on. Offload as much of the work as you can. Like, okay, I'm focusing on describing the scene, organizing stuff. You're navigating us around the dungeon. So, happy days. I'm not trying to do all of it at once because
the mapper.
Yeah, just you're not splitting your energies. You always kind of focus on, I'm running the game still. You're now doing the technical stuff while I'm doing that. Cheers, thank you.
Graph paper guy will get us out of here alive.
Absolutely. The second question there, I'm interested in having a crack at.
Yeah, go for it. So read it.
What recent book, movie, TV show would you like to see made into an RPG? And how would you ruin it with 5th Ed? What system would you invent/use? I would make... I would use the Stormlight Archive series that Brandon Sanderson has 4 of 10 books finished of at this point. Because I think it's a fabulous world, it's a fabulous setting. It's really diving deep down into the guts of his setting, and like it's about tons of stuff, tons of interesting things, mental illness and magic systems and how they interact with each other. And what I would do is I would actually use a CCG based resolution system for the game, where the characters would have like core traits that they have, like soldier or artist or scholar, and that gets you one set of cards. And then your types of magic you have access to, they each give you a different set of cards. Like there's 10 surges in the setting as the core one, so you get, here's a surge of gravitation, you get the surge of adhesion, and then you shuffle them all together, and then you draw cards to resolve stuff. And like, okay, well in this situation, I can definitely use my magic to help me out, so I'll use my surge of adhesion or surge of thing to fix this problem for myself. And then because he's a big Magic the Gathering head, a huge Magic the Gathering head, I think he'd really get a kick out of that, seeing people basically playing his game that way. And there's some great ideas in CCGs you could steal that would make for a very interesting session. I've been playing a game called Flesh and Blood recently, and I'm like, there's some really clever ideas in here about setting up turns later in the game. So yeah, big fan of that
When is
idea.
your Kickstarter going live?
I'd have to meet the guy and sell him on it. I'd be like, dude, I've got an amazing idea. Now, I've only produced 2 or 3 games myself, and, you know, but this is a winner.
We need to compare notes, because the idea of CCG resolution or inside an RPG, I think, is absolutely doable. Ever since I played Eternal Champions or Champions of... What was that cooperative superhero CCG from a while back?
Oh, Guardians of the Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Yes, like that there could be something that you could use to do RPG combat. Let's move on.
The game's coming out. The starter set's already available. It's coming
Yeah, they've
out
got the RPG. It's good.
God damn
here
it.
with me.
Okay.
But it's not a CCG based one. It's a traditional RPG.
Yes.
I would actually do a card based one, like, you know, cards. Shuffle your deck.
Yes.
I wouldn't make you buy boosters.
Something like Gloom, maybe a little bit Gloomhaven-y, or it's the whole thing. Okay, so I think Uber Alex had a fair shake. Who wants to answer? Liam, would you address the concerns of David Reynolds, please?
Yeah, I've only played one mostly in full, so the question is favourite adventure path, and that would be Rise of the Runelords, because I've only played one mostly in full. I've started out some of the other books, but never actually run through them all.
So good.
I'm not really too educated to say much on that.
I've plundered that for
listener
ideas.
context.
Sorry,
listener context, that's Pathfinder Adventure Paths.
Pathfinder Adventure Paths, yeah.
It's I have a soft spot for Rise of the Runelords. It's such a good... I've talked about it before on other podcasts, on other episodes, but
that whole thing with the scarecrows is just...
Yeah. Right, moving on.
Barely survived.
Myth.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
Oh, sorry. Do we have any other favorites, or for people who are exposed?
The ones I've played is the ones I've enjoyed the idea of or run. I liked Iron Gods. It's uneven in places. The middle's a bit dodgy, but starts really strong. I like the end. Hell's Rebels really enjoyed. Kind of a city-based one where you're fighting a rebellion. That's some good content. Rise of the Runelords is a very good one, and Extinction Curse, the circus bit is a bit tacked on, but I've been working through the actual plot's really well integrated. So very happy with that.
I can't remember the name, but the one where you start out dead is quite.
That's a Tyrant's Grasp. It's the last first ed one. Reddit, excellent. Kind of actually quite a tragic one in some ways. Well, sort of tragic, but certainly. You kind of have to make some things clear to the players early on, kind of like, this story is not necessarily going to have a great ending.
Yeah, you're not always winning.
You need to be cool with that, you know?
Yeah,
not that you'll lose, per se, but just like, you know, you may not be getting out of this one. If you start off dead, you may not get out of this one, you know?
Okay, let's crack on to Mythholder, who sent us one question, which seems unambitious, given the output of other questions. Who'd like to tackle Mythholder's question? Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, how will Irish convention culture weather another year of no cons? And I'm a little surprised that this is a question. Like, I don't feel that going to cons is a habit. I think it's something that you do, yeah, like a decision you make every time that there's a con coming up because you want to go to cons. And I would have thought that that's not going to change. Like at the moment, there is no cons, so you're not making that decision to go to a con. But in the future, when they start coming back, I suppose maybe in universities we could have a situation where the torch hasn't been passed down the generations as much. So you might have people graduating out the top end who haven't really had a chance to pass on what they've learned, or to induct the next generation. So people might be kind of putting things together from scratch a bit. And a lot of
I think college cons will probably struggle because the lack of ancestral knowledge hasn't been passed down. But I'd say the non-college cons will probably keep going.
But actually, they're almost all college cons, aren't they?
In the Irish scene,
Gaelcon was it, and other than the odd con, like what's the one in Limerick that was tied to the shop down there?
Although there's been a few that have broken free. HoboCon is another Dublin-based con that's not affiliated. Yeah, very good points there, Eva Robot Shane. Continuity is probably a concern. There's it's fair. I think it is okay. I disagree slightly. I think there is an Irish convention culture in that it's a scene, and that scene has a lot of bodies that are that know each other well and socialize through the convention circuit as it runs its course throughout the year. I feel like it's kind of like when an ancient culture kind of gets knocked off its rock and they can't do the procession around the island to the standing stones that is the Irish con scene. The high priests and priestesses must be feeling quite put out at the moment. Fingers crossed it'll recover.
I think initially it'll be really strong, and then it may start to suffer a severe dieback as people have kind of fallen out of the habit of it, and we're kind of like, how much do we really miss? Irish cons have been a little bit moribund for the last few years. They kind of made a lot of their fans in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they've been kind of tapering off since then, despite there being a huge upswell in gaming. They need to take a hard look at themselves in terms of, are we a draw or not? Are we going to draw people? Are we an appointment event that you have to be here? And then you start generating events that are going to be, you need to come to this. We can't miss this. I'm super looking forward to it. There's way too much Asher will just show up and there'll be a few points. There'll be a bit of a laugh, lads. Way! You need to actually start generating appointment events where it's like, we need to be here for this.
It could be a good opportunity to shake things up because there's an awful lot of, with conventions, there's an awful lot of paint by the numbers. We're going to have 3 slots on Saturday because we've always had 3 slots on Saturday. Does that work for people? Would they rather go for 2 slots on Saturday? Are slots dead? It was much better off having kind of people sign up and then they get pushed onto a table. I think there's a good opportunity here to take a fresh look at what are our cons doing, and do they fit with what we want from our cons now rather than what we would have wanted for our cons, as Owen said, as when they were kind of set in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's sort of a level of opportunity, as Liam says, but I do think there's a big risk. The brain drain might not be fatal yet, as it were, as people fall out of the habit of running conventions. I assume the major effort that was put forward this year to run GaelCon online does show that the Irish con scene does have life in it. It's a question of can it build up momentum again? It is a question of are people busting at the doors to get back in, or is it something they're basically going to have to start again and build up steam at it again? And I suspect it's going to be the latter of that. The next year's cons, assuming whenever cons start again, they're going to be slower, and they're going to be a bit more scatterbrained, and we're going to have to stick at them. And there's going to have to be questions if, does the greater Irish gaming community have the drive to keep the con scene going at the rate it was? I suspect most of the cons will come out okay with a few rocky years, but there may be some casualties along the way. But there'll probably be some surprises that'll mix up the formula, and we'll soon wonder how we ever do anything different.
I'm
But we
thinking
can't
that
know for
that,
certain yet.
it's likely to be the university gaming societies that get hit the hardest by this, and that their conventions are like, by extension, then going to suffer, which I hadn't really thought about before. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But
We're going to have had 2 years where there's basically no new members of a college society.
Yeah.
Because how would anyone join a college society in the current format?
yeah, and,
Like-
and 2 years of new students who
Yeah.
just aren't used to the idea of on-campus societies as part of your social life and so on.
Yeah.
This is also us being old fogies. Like, it may well be that there are college societies there that are inducting new members in an online format. They could be running D&D every week. They could be playing board games online through various means.
Yeah,
And
Second Life or something.
We're just totally ignorant of it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody's out there and they want to let us know what's happening in your college society at the moment, I'd definitely be very interested to learn.
All
Well,
I'd
to
say
really
is
explain-
it is very hard to get laid on Zoom, and if you're opening a convention or reopening a convention, make sure you
it's
got
pretty
a
hard to
bar.
get laid and at a con
Yeah,
in general,
Zauseed, getting laid at a con? Want to tell us anything?
No. I was just going to say, it's like I don't know about the rest of you, but myself and Savage definitely have a bunch of stories of like finding these pockets of like a dozen to 20 gamers that were in close proximity to other existing game societies, and them having no idea that each other existed. Like, there's this incredible sort of like, I'm sure there's activity bubbling away out there. Is it interconnected? Are people aware of it? No. And could that come back up? It's like, that's the dice roll.
If you do find one of these lost tribes, make sure your spear insurance is up to date. They tend to throw first and ask who you worship later. Right, let's crack. Sorry, Scar, you wanna? Are you?
No. I think I've said my piece. I've rambled as
Okay.
usual.
Conrad Kinch contributor to the show on and off, and provider of podcasting joy in his own right, has a couple of questions for us. I'll weigh in here because I can. Let's see, which one do I like? Nope. Given the profusion. Okay, given the profusion of scenarios and pre-written adventures nowadays, and let's face it, we're watching them, what scenario does the adventuring party think does the best job of conveying information to the GM? Not necessarily the best written, but the best presented. So you can see why I picked this one. There's some good ones. There's some pretty good scenarios. I think it's something of an unexamined art, how to write a scenario specifically in a way that communicates, the goals, the real thrust of the thing effectively.
Well, the problem there is that for the longest time, adventuring scenarios have been written for people who are never going to run them. They were written to be, ooh, that's cool. I can imagine my original characters playing through this dungeon as I, sit here somewhere in the middle of the mountains of Nebraska, dreaming about D&D. So the art of adventure writing hasn't really come together in the same way. It's written, a lot of it is designed to be evocative rather than informational. I find myself sort of a victim of this, is that a lot of the scenarios that I tend to like the most are the ones that imply ideas rather than communicate them, and get my imagination going rather than I find the best scenarios are the ones that inspire me to do the work rather than actually doing the work for me, which is probably not the right way to do it.
Well,
I don't have any character
okay.
examples.
Well, okay, best presented. I mean, in terms of prettiest stuff that I've seen of late, Typical 7 workman stuff is very well presented in terms of aesthetics. In terms of how the stat blocks and all are put together, not very good. They're okay. It certainly wouldn't be an exemplar. The Pathfinder stuff that I've seen has been laid out pretty well in terms of the monster stat blocks and stuff are very concise, and they usually the encounter will tell you like the tactics, and if it doesn't, once you look at the monster stat blocks, they tend to have special abilities that work out exactly how the attacks are going to lay down based on what abilities the bad guy has. So I think I'd probably say Pathfinder 2. Now that's the stuff I'm running, but I'm only running Pathfinder 2 and Warfare now at the moment anyway, so I can't really say too much.
Always take a look at stuff that's in a second or third edition or third printing, because they often have a time to refine and go, okay, this wasn't presented clearly enough previously. People had problems with this. Great example is the latest edition of Masks of Nyarlathotep, which is a very complex scenario to run, and the new edition does a great job of laying everything out. They do a clue map at the start of each chapter, going, here's this clue brings you to this clue, brings you to this clue. And they make sure there's multiple paths. So if you go to this place first, you can get to this clue or this clue. So it means that the whole scenario is interconnected. You don't need to hit every location. You can just hit some locations and they'll get you on the way. That's one of the weird things about players found. They're really very completionist about it, and they're like going everywhere. Some of these lead us to the same place. And I'm like, yes. Yeah, that's that's how we work in real life.
You're not putting together a court case. You're trying to stop an unspeakable horror. And
they had a lot of fun with that. And I had a psycho wall for it. It was great. But a really well organised adventure. Good read. Very, very readable. Very runnable from just one or two read-throughs, which is often key, because if you're getting to read through a scenario more than 2 or 3 times and you run it, you're doing very well. Yeah, you're doing very well.
Absolutely.
I don't think I have ever run. First of all, I think that in order to answer this question, you need to have run it. You can't, unless you've got a very particular type of brain, you can't tell how it's going to run just by reading it. In terms of what information is where you need it to be when you require it and so on. And I don't think I've ever run a scenario that made me think, yeah, this is how the rest of them should do it. So, no answer available.
I think it can depend on the game you're running as well. Like I say, with Pathfinder, it's like, stat block, boom, but other times you do want that information separate in a way, so I think it does depend on the game as well. And what's useful for you doing the combat section isn't going to be useful for you if you're doing the investigation section.
Investigative, yeah.
I'll have to give a shout out to a chap I've mentioned before on the podcast, a guy called Skerples, Skerples. He's written a couple of system agnostic scenarios, but the one that stands out for me is Kidnap the Archpriest. Now this was the one with
the breakdown of time for where each of the NPCs are at the different days and time. Yeah,
that's the one.
That looked pretty impressive.
It's intimidating, but the fact that
presented well, like if it's presented well, you can have a hell of a lot of information on something.
Yeah, like the thing I think is lacking from most RPG scenarios, especially, are kind of worksheets and cheat sheets and time management or time and motion sort of studies, effectively, that will help you keep track of the flow of a scenario or the places that people are. The rewrite of Dragon Heist, Waterdeep, the name escapes me. It was
Alexandria.
The Alexandrian is another good example. It's obviously it's presented in blog form, so it's not quite as accessible, but the time and motion kind of ideas that are inserted into and when I say time and motion, I mean the time that is passing and the motion of other unseen actors that the players should or shouldn't be aware of, but that are going to have an effect in your game. There are tools for that aren't simply going to fit in the 2-column spread with some artwork. I think it's important, and Cubicle 7 have done some good work in this in some of the recent offerings, to just offer places for the GM to be able to track and know what the timeline is or know where people are. So yeah, Skerples Kidnap the Archpriest, you can find it through RPG. I think he's got a blog somewhere, name I can't remember. Well,
that was one nice addition to the to Foundry VTT for Warfare, is if you get the Rough Night and Hard Days content, there's a clock for keeping track
Yeah,
of
very
modules.
that's right.
Excellent.
Vital,
The
vital.
the
Oh, for most of the stuff in the Rough Night and Hard Days, they are timed specifically. This will happen at this time. This will happen at this time. Now, until your players interact with it, in which case you have to go, right, well, that was supposed to happen, but that guy's dead.
Scar?
For the record, the blog for Mr. Skirples is Coins and Scrolls.
You're
So
too
if you look
kind.
up Coins and Scrolls, you'll get links to all of his various teaching scenarios. And
See
stuff.
that, folks? Live fact checking. I'm being kept honest by the noble warlord. Okay.
What a profession.
Will anyone grab one other from Conrad, and then we'll bring the Q&A to a close?
Yeah, actually, yes. After a year of enforced role-playing via Zoom, etc., if the party could give one piece of advice to a DM switching to online play, what would it be? And this is not going to be fun or interesting gaming-related advice, but it's the technical side of things, like tell people in advance what is required technically, and that includes headphones and some kind of a microphone that doesn't pick up your washing machine. I've found that a number of these video conferencing programs will kind of, in order to prevent, I presume it's to prevent feedback from like noise coming out of your speakers going into your microphone, they will tone down your microphone input when somebody is speaking at you, which means that anything you say during that time is kind of cut out or very, very muted. If you've got headphones in, because then your speakers aren't interfering, aren't playing into your microphone, that doesn't happen. Now you can use a client that doesn't do that. Wire is the one that I've been using that is good for that. But I don't know what the maximum number of players on it is. But yeah, prime people in advance that we're gonna play a game. You're gonna need dice and some paper and a pencil and some headphones. That.
Very good point. And yeah, the technical stuff often overlooked.
Not sure I can do better than that.
Yeah, actually, I've just noticed our YouTube chat has lit up during the course of this. Is there any questions there we need to address before we finish?
No, just a bit of fact checking again.
I would also say, just briefly, on the topic of online play, run a pre-written scenario first, so you can focus on setting that up properly, and then getting to know the system while you're running it, rather than thinking about trying to extemporize them. Oh, now we'll do this. Ah, crap, I need a new map for that immediately. I need to draw this. I need to make some NPCs. No, run something pre-run so you get used to what you're doing when you're starting out. Don't try to do everything yourself. Even if you're the most dyed-the-woad, I make my own stuff, I would never look at another man's scenario. My God, people put monsters in this? I've been doing it all wrong. Start out with something pre-written. Just cut down your workload.
Yep.
I would say my main takeaway from running online for, since the COVID lockdown, patience and clarity is that there's the new format means that there's so many more chances for misunderstandings and misinterpretations and people getting a very different idea of what's going on from what you are. You just have to be patient with that and only make things clear as possible and use online tools to clarify as much as possible. I know sometimes when you're improvising, you can't always come up with a nice, well laid out map and miniatures, but even just throwing together a Google drawing, just to just steal some photos and some free maps online, throw them together, find a bunch of smileys, have them fight over who is going to be the thinking emoticon. Clarity. You should always be trying to aim for clarity and be patient when when people don't get the right idea, because it's just a information lossy medium, and without the context of being across the table, speaking back and forth, it's just so much easier for people to get confused, and you just have to accept that.
That's it.
I would add one last thing to that is that while there's great potential, like Heda's point about get stuck in and pre-made because you get all of the assets. That's one solid thing. and Scar's point about just grab whatever things you can to fill in that kind of digital gap to fill up the play space. That's like another one. But I would just go even a step further and say, don't, even if you find like I have to get a bunch of digital assets together intimidating, don't let that stop you. Draw it and show people. This is what I use. It's the whiteboard.
Okay.
Here's the fight scene. This is the thing they were raiding. This was enough to get me through 3-4 sessions, I think. They came back 3 times. But so like just
I forgot something.
a solution that works for you, and don't be afraid to go like, this isn't the Hollywood full everything level production that it could be, but it's good enough for now. Better that you have like a session with like slightly squeaky assets that everyone has fun at, than you go like, wait 3 more weeks, I'm still prepping the stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect being the enemy
That's
of
really good. I'm going to do that
right now.
Yes, on a similar kind of thing, don't be afraid to, if you can, if you are running on a new medium, try to get at least one of your other players online. If you're using Roll20, Foundry, whatever, and just do a sound check. Make sure they can hear you, they can see what other assets they can move upon about, just so that you get familiar with how to manipulate it. I know I use Foundry VTT for my Warfare game, and it's grand, and I've gotten to handle all of the GM stuff, but I have no idea how it runs as a player, because I've never logged in as a player. So I am zero used to advising any of the players how to actually run the game. So at least then you'll have somebody on your side who knows how to do all of the player controls, and you'll know how to run your GM controls. That's worth that. Just if you can get them for a half an hour the day before your game or before your game starts, just to make sure everyone's running okay.
Excellent, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a different kind of prep, folks, but being online means you've probably got more prep to do. So give yourself the time. Don't think that the technology is going to shorten your fuse by...
If it's anything like my game, we have a good half an hour before we actually start gaming where people are, eating whatever takeout they've ordered that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't spill curry on your keyboard. So we've been live, or we are live. We've had some reactions to some of the things we've been talking about, or the end of the questions. So Plastic Crack Gaming has responded in the YouTube live stream to some of our comments on how conventions, the Irish gaming convention scene, is going to do next year, and he makes the point that there was talk of the IGA shifting to fulfill more of a networking role. Oh wait, no, that was to do with, as Zausi was saying, groups just not
the
knowing
islands, the pockets
that they're even there.
Yeah.
So the IGA, the Irish Gaming Association, looking at creating a sort of a network and being a hub for people to connect through. Plenty more kobolds in the sea, I believe. .com, I believe, is the site they're going to set up. And on our Discord,
I guess for me, I think I would like to see that. There's certainly been like when I was in the IGA, we were talking about trying to facilitate groups meeting up and all that. People are very insular, and it's kind of hard. You can make that available, and that's great. And if they use it, that's great. But people have their niche, and they have their niche. That's what they look at. The BattleTech guys have their little BattleTech forums on Facebook or on Discord, and the Warfare guys have their Warfare stuff, and then this group have that group. And ne'er the twain shall meet. So if they can, good luck to them if they can do it. But it's notoriously difficult to get people to
sociable or more
get out of their niche.
Yeah, a bit of cross-pollination never hurts. Just ask all the cannabis plants in my garden.
Complacency is the death of many a thing, but I think the point here is that we've entered a phase of gaming where complacency is no longer an option, and groups can be shut down just by the simple fact of they need to meet in a physical space. So it is sort of, in a kind of weird way, it is sort of an opportunity for our groups to have to pause gaming, think about how they're gaming, and try to reach out.
A fine start is we have a Discord channel, we have a mailing list, we have a website. If you're having an event, just send it our way, and we'll advertise it, and that could be the start.
Speaking of our Discord, Munchkin305 responded with, relating to college societies and new members, I know that Trinity's Gaming Society has been very active this year. which
That
is
is
That's
great
great.
to hear.
Trinity,
great to
the,
hear.
the August Trinity College of Dublin.
Reach out to have a chat with them about it.
And I
Thumbs up
imagine
that
there's been
person.
plenty more,
Yeah.
because we adapt. As you say, Scar, it's adapt or die, and we're nothing if
Yeah.
not adaptable. Okay, I don't think there's too much more, unless someone wants to just glance at Twitter or Facebook, see if there's
I've
anything
been
there.
checking and nothing's coming in.
Okay,
I
so
think people have said their piece ahead of time.
well, in that
So do
case,
we want
Right,
to
no.
just
That
give our
brings-
closing thoughts?
well,
My closing thought is it's late and I want me dinner.
That's our questions and answers. Well, at this point, folks, feel free to drop out. That's our questions and answers done. Everyone's got their prezzies, so technically there's nothing holding us here. I'm going to keep the
Possible
stream.
that Ellie got 2 copies from me of that game. I don't know.
You can probably
Never
charge
really
one
into
back. Let me just run
Yeah.
over to. I had a plan. We've got a plan, right? So, okay. So at this
Yeah,
point,
it's right. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm done with.
We're supposed to do a
the
retrospective.
Phantom, and I'm moving on to a 2020 retrospective. Absolutely, and I had a glass for this, but I'm going to crack open the Dark Druid, which is a chocolate coconut pastry stout. This feels less like drinking and more like stunt work at this point. So, a retrospective 2020. Wow.
I'm surprised we managed to keep the podcast going. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
here's
that's
the
probably-
question was
that's-
asked. The question was asked. You know that back in the day. Yeah, sorry. Your tabletop gaming is now shifted to online, and will it go back to gaming in person? Will the podcast go back to recording in person? Because I think the logistics of getting together to record online are a lot easier.
Yeah, so like, I've come to realize over the years that while I consider myself a fairly laid back person, I'm actually in some ways rather opinionated and draconian. And one of the things was that like it must be in person, and if we're doing interviews, like we have to get the person here, unless it's really exceptional circumstances, or we do it at a convention or something like that. Because I at the time I'd listened to some podcasts that did the Skype thing, and it was just there was this very, very obvious lack of chemistry. So like I'd been dead against it from the start. It was like the Adventuring Party doesn't do remote podcast, and I've been really impressed by how things have been going when I sort of started getting involved again in the past year. Like actually, yeah, like it is all right. Well done, chaps.
Is there fire in the background and we're just going, this is fine. This is.
Well, because we've
but
probably all
I-
gotten used to doing more stuff online in general anyway.
True.
that's true.
Yeah, well,
It
it's
may have been terrible.
like everything else. A podcast that's been running this long has actually has run through many of the eras of podcasting. I mean, you guys started this over 10 years ago now, 2009, and
Well,
podcasting.
Yes.
Podcasting was different back then, and it has continued to evolve. And if you think back, guys, like the podcast was a way around certain limitations, and some of those limitations simply disappeared. We're all a high def video tonight, except Minecraft Scar. It's
Sorry.
no. I think it adds a cool kind of OSR retro feel that I know you like to go for.
As an aside, the about section of our website desperately needs an update.
We've got a website.
Oh yeah.
And,
Are all the people still alive?
It is a great kind of like, it's like one of those ice cores.
yeah, you can like there's all sorts of things that would have happened early on, that yeah there's a dark line in the ice core for 2020, but there's interesting things in there. We've changed the format fairly substantially. We've held on to it. I think we've held on to as much as we can in terms of the sort of what the podcast is about. In many ways, it's kind of helped us to refine what we're doing and kind of strip back to, like, I'll always think of 2020 as the crucible where we burned away all the things we didn't need. And I think some of that's true for the Adventuring Party as well. We simply had to focus on what made the podcast tick, and then try and build up from there. So yeah, anyone else? Any thoughts on the year gone by in terms of doing the show? It's a show, isn't it? Right.
I've enjoyed hopping in and out as you guys have had me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yourself and Sean were definitely kept it all going, kept the flame alive, and passed it carefully and trained us properly. And then, of course, we had to sort of go and throw most of that away and adapt. But the spirit of the adventuring party came, to me at least, through yourself and Sean, really sort of nurturing at the beginning. I remember being so nervous, even about editing. But you guys were always a big help, just on the handover, and never, there was never any sort of just go and figure it out yourself. It was always like, here's how we do it.
And look, I guess to a certain extent, I do enjoy that people listen to it, but I've always kind of held with editing and stuff like that, is that if you didn't do a great job, people are getting what they're paying for.
Sorry, God, this tastes more. I think I washed my hair with the sister product.
We've never asked anybody for a Patreon or any of that kind of stuff. People aren't on a premium subscription feed. It's look, if there's some warbling or something like that on a track, it's not the end of the world.
God, people will watch anything. They'll listen to anything. Quality.
Your sounds cut out there, Shane. Can't hear you.
You've been trying
There
to
you go.
fix
Just
this
as you say, technical difficulties.
Had to happen eventually. We're collapsing the waveform of the sheer awesomeness of the show. Hida, you've been with the Adventure Party longer than I have. Any thoughts on
Audio test.
There we go. We can
Yes,
hear you now.
we
Even
hear
Robert
you,
Shane.
hear you saying.
But Hida, any sort of reflections on this year gone past in terms of how podcasting's been different or how the show has changed?
Well, I thought it'd be way easier to organise sessions than it actually turned out to be. I thought it was going to be really simple. It was like, well, we're all at home. We all just agree, here's an hour block. I don't have to drive down to someone's house 40 minutes away to set up it has been more challenging than I thought it was going to be, given that, ostensibly everyone's at home not doing anything. Well, theoretically not doing anything. So they are doing less, certainly. But there you go. It's hard. Working from home is hard.
See, I think what actually emerged is we had to compress all the things we do into the same space.
That's it, really. That became harder. That became really challenging. So that was interesting, because I thought actually this is going to be really easy. We're going to have tons of people willing to do stuff and free time, free hours to do stuff. No, not that at all. It's also been interesting from the Discord's been good for generating ideas.
Yeah.
And some content, and that's been very good. It's been more. We've actually got a little bit more of a community around the Adventuring Party now, whereas previously we were purely shouting into a void with very little engagement from people. We actually get feedback on the stuff we talk about. It's great.
And we've
definitely have more people watching this stream than are here in the call, so that proof we have at least one listener.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got 4 or 5 machines set up just tuned to YouTube.
Or somebody else saying their mantra for this year is time is a flat circle.
That's true.
The Discord, absolutely. Hida brings up a great point. The Discord is probably the biggest new addition to the podcast. Mr. E, who has appeared on some of the shows and does an awful lot of work in the background. I can't thank him enough for getting us up and running, telling me what Discord was, explaining to me why I should be using it, and eventually just saying, look, I've set it up, just use it. Stop pissing around. And here's the link. Go join the bloody Discord. And yeah, anyone who's a regular visitor to the Discord will see that we've made lots of new friends. We've found old friends who found us again, past members who've come back to the fold. Oh, we'll drag you right back in, Evil Robot Shane. Don't you worry.
I don't have much better to do.
And it's been just a little circle of light for me this year. A place to just every day touch base and throw a thumbs up to somebody I know or I'm getting to know. So yeah, this is like just join our Discord.
Yeah. So like the original ethos behind the Adventure Party as a podcast was that like we're talking about gaming in the pub anyway. Why don't we just do that
Yeah.
for an audience? Actually playing games will take precedence. And if the choice ever comes down to like what are we going to do Saturday afternoon, is play our role playing game or record the podcast, and the podcast is out the window. But talking about gaming is fun, and like the Discord, you do that. That is what it is about, and it's not some ludicrous amount of content that you need to keep up with. Like it's really manageable. I would really advise, on the very very off chance that anybody's watching this but isn't already on the Discord, give it a shot. Talking about gaming is fun. That is simple physics.
Emojis here, yes, 100%. Megaphone, thumbs up. Yeah, I abuse the emojis and the GIFs an awful lot in Discord. Come and find out. Anyone else want to throw a reflection in, or will we move on? Because I seriously need to finish this. Like, as JFK once said, do not pray for easier beers, pray for a stronger gullet.
Well, you have a plan written down. Remember?
Oh hell! Let's move on then.
We should be a shout out to our show friends.
This is a much better idea. In fact, I'll just roll into this one. Shout out to our show friends. We have, of course, been running a channel, thread. What do they call them on Discord? I forget. But we have stuff from our friends. So, can I go full screen here? Yeah.
Well, I'll go through it. Oh,
Thank you.
Well, we have former party member Donna, who has partly reached into the pens of indie publishing. Donna is one of the convention scene's biggest indie prophesizers.
He is the Paul Muad'Dib of the indies.
Yeah. Yes. He is now actually started making his own games. So you can check him out at donna.itch.io. That's DONOGH.itch.io. Does anyone else automatically turn itch.io into itch.io in their heads?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always itch.io to me. So it's donna.itch.io.
Yeah, Donna is an absolute legend for introducing people who have been caught between start times for con scenarios and sort of going, you missed your slot. Come with me. Get in this white van of unlabeled gaming goodness, and we will journey. I've played amazing games today. It's really opened my eyes to different kinds of role playing. So yes, the fact he's now writing stuff, I'll be checking out. You can find a link to the Discord. Just moving up the ladder one.
We have
prolific contributor Jason, who is always on the Discord. He's a podcaster in his own right, and he always shares his episodes with us. He is responsible for the Nerds RPG Variety.
Nerd RPG Variety Cast.
Yeah, and it's a great listen.
An inevitable OSR adjacent. It's one of those guerrilla podcasts done.
I'm pretty sure
often while driving.
I'm pretty sure I've listened to several of his that are just recorded at a bus stop, and it's great. It's Vox Pop stuff at its best. So
I'm at a gas station. I've got 3 minutes. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and we don't shout him out often enough. So Jason, if you're catching this at some point in the future, Merry Christmas and thanks for joining us, because Jason's definitely one of the people that has kind of just come out of the ether in the last year and said, hey, I listened to your podcast. And we're like, we've got a podcast? Awesome. You've got a podcast? Even better. So Jason got tons of stuff up there.
On the other side, I think we should probably point out Billy here and his blog where he crunches all those numbers for...
You've been hiding your light under a bushel, my friend. Tell us about
as long as I've been doing it, you've been aware of it. I just sort of, I don't know, I took a notion earlier this year and I'm like, people talk a lot of stuff, but like,
You're doing data science, you're doing data discovery, you're finding the bullet points. Before I know, you'll be doing K nearest neighbor clustering and, sandbagging or whatever.
kind of. I mean, the one big thing, which I think, like, Hida pointed out, is like, every single survey done in the entire gaming space, like, it comes with a whole bag of salt, because they're like, it's a slice. Every single one of them is just a slice. But the thing I'm trying is, like, actually, we've been asking people similar questions for years and years and years, and if we stack all of these things up, do they consistently say the same thing? And then okay, you begin to be able to say, it's like, maybe we can, with some confidence, begin to say this thing. But yeah, or at least you can say, it's like, hey, people have started answering this, which. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just like sweeping it together and stacking it all together, because people put their data out there, and you can just gather all these surveys, as opposed to like, hey, we're going to try and do a survey and hope that we get numbers. You can just go, how about we just go get this one that's been done that had 10,000 people.
Give us the top notes. The blog is called
Seed of Worlds.
Seed
of worlds.blogspot.com.
Seed as in pumpkin seed, of worlds as in destroyer of. Blogspot.com. Excellent. Yeah, definitely check it out if you want to see someone who actually thinks about some of the things they say instead of blurting them out. This guy. Okay. Let's roll up the list. We've got a few more.
There's one other person we might be a bit further back in the scrolls. You should probably point there. That would be Conrad Kinch and his podcast, Send 3 and 4 pence.
Conrad's. I don't think I've ever seen Conrad Kinch not in a leather wingback chair, smoking a first edition of Sherlock Holmes while reading a cigar. He's a lovely gentleman who makes lovely, sort of very soothing. I don't know if he's a podcaster or professional ASMR merchant, but I know he's got stock in both. So well worth checking out. Conrad's proclivities would lie with the historical, all things Cthulhu, and he does a sideline in musings about the law as well, which can be quite interesting, and military history if you're interested. An impressive sort of cedar smoked bag of predilections. Well worth checking out. And yeah, Send 3 and 4 pence. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple iTunes, I think. Spotify is definitely a surefire. He uses, what's that radio app?
On Anchor.fm.
Anchor.fm, where you find Jason as well. But we're leaving the Anglosphere. We have to give some chops to, permit me to butcher this, J. Metrow. J. Metrow? Yeah, okay. Who has a fine line in... Wait, we have to find this now. His musings can be found on...
Weaver.skepti.ch.
That's his site, is it? Excellent.
Yeah.
I haven't actually had a chance to check it out. We requested links, so thanks for dropping them, guys. But yeah, weaver.skepti.ch with a K. Check out the Discord for links. If I'm not mistaken, Jay Matrow is a multilingual creator and purveyor of stuff, and he's given us some insights into things that are happening in the kind of the Francosphere, things that lie slightly beyond our usual horizons, which I think is just one of the wonders of the web that we get to, without leaving the comfort of our gaming chairs, we get to see some new vistas. We also have... Who else are we shouting out this evening?
We have Tom from the somewhat infamous Fear of Black Dragon podcast.
Oh, that's okay.
They review adventure modules, mostly OSR and classic D&D, but they've branched out into other things. They've recently done a review of Something Rotten in Kislev, so that's a spicy.
Burn it down.
Over.
Tom, for me at least on the Discord, is that quiet guy with the cloak in the corner of the tavern, who just never says much. Every so often he'll just drop a comment like, "Yeah, I was at the Battle of the Three Fords. Yeah, killed a general." Like, oh really? There's a story there. Yeah, there is. I'm not going to tell it to you though. He keeps his accomplishments close to his chest, but my impression is that they are many, and some of them are epic. So go and check out Tom's stuff because he's had a finger in a lot of pies.
On YouTube or on the Gauntlet RPG website.
Right, that's done again. A few familiar faces. I don't see anything else new as I roll up, and I think that is everybody for now. So,
yeah, I think we've
thank you all. Thanks for enriching us. Thanks for cracking the lid on stuff that we might never have pulled off the shelf on our own. But that's our stuff from our friends. We hope that a few of you who are watching aren't simply the same people who just post all that stuff and will go and find something new to read over the holidays. Which brings us neatly on. What's our next segment?
I believe is looking forward.
Okay, well, I've been looking ahead to finishing this, so I'm going to, because I washed my hair once today. I don't need to do it again. Coconut is an understatement. Timotei would be more accurate assessment of what this thing tastes like. So chocolate coconut pastry stouts, probably not going to make it onto my keep list.
Sam
There
Adams
is
is
a really
fine.
good chocolate stout, but I can't. What was that? Oh no.
This
There
was
is a really good
No,
chocolate
this is
stout.
Sam
I don't know what
Adams.
it's called.
Galway Bay have a really nice milk chocolate stout, buried at sea or something like that. Produced in Galway, hence the name.
Different strokes for different folks.
I'm going to
New
move
taste.
on. I'm done with wizards and spirits. I'm going to move on to a cauldron of plenty. There's got to be at least one gamer naming beers over at White Hag. So this is an oatmeal porter, which I feel I might be on safer ground with. Right, so looking ahead to 2021. We've covered a certain amount of this already, so we can keep this fairly short as we're running over time now. So who wants to open on their hopes and dreams? And what is that thing? Liam?
It's also from that random shop that sells junk you don't need for your house. That's on Georgia Street. It's like Tiger,
It's all
but
of them.
Scandinavian. Which Tiger might also be Scandinavian. I don't
Oh,
know.
she's got head boys. A little can with a lot of heart. So what are people generally looking forward to in 2021?
Like everybody else, I want I look forward to the days where we have sufficient mass of vaccinated people, or that the virus has died down to a sufficient level that I can start gaming with my friends again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is just
role
not-
playing online. I've taken as it's okay, and certainly logistically, it's a lot easier to get my players together. Where be it Owen, who's got a bit of a commute, or be it other people who've got kids and stuff. So we may well keep doing online role playing, but just board gaming. There are okay tabletop simulators for board gaming, but it's only okay. I want to board game with my friends again.
More board games in 2021.
Absolutely.
Classic around the board.
I've got a couple of things I'm looking forward to, but it's all contingent on, is this under control, and can we actually start getting back to playing board games and card games again? I've got Flesh and Blood, the card game I really want to play some more of. I want to get back and play Arkham Horror again. I want to play some Gloomhaven again and Frosthaven when it comes out. I want to try Asunder. I want to try Cyberpunk 2020. I want to try Fading Suns. I want to try the Dune RPG. And then I've got big board games coming from Kickstarter that I was super excited about to end of 2009 when I backed it, because Kickstarter's got a grown-up time. There's one called Aeon Trespass, which is basically XCOM Evangelion set in ancient Greece, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's such a cool idea, such a cool concept. There's a couple of amazing dungeon crawlers like Chronicles of Drunagor, and they're just going to come to me. I'm going to look at them, get really upset, and put them in my shed to wait for people to come play with me again. I'm so desperate that all my three brothers, I've gotten each of them a Necromunda gang for Christmas that we're going to assemble so I can play some, and we're going to play a mini Necromunda campaign, because it's just there's some things I just miss getting to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you'll play this with me, right? I just want you to play some Necromunda with me. We're gonna shoot some people. It's gonna be dreadful. But like, I just need a taste. I just need a taste. And yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Evil Robot Shane, anything on the horizon for next year?
But
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if GaleCon is on the cards, and I don't know if the marathon is on the cards either for me. But God, I am dying to get back to GaleCon. It is one of the highlights of my year. And of course playing with actual people in actual person. But the LARP scene is like that. That is a major hobby of mine these past few years in England, and I'm. You know, we had some good games that were going on and just had to suddenly drop, or just suddenly not schedule their next event. You know, there was no convenient break. It was just like on hiatus for who knows how long. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to them if they even happen. You know, people might have run out of steam for it, or the momentum might have died. I don't know, but yeah, fingers crossed. Getting back into my stupid top hat and cravat and vampiring it up a notch. That is what I want.
We are full of hope for the future. Zowseed.
A bit similar to these in that, like, I can see myself keeping remote gaming in the toolbox. In that there's a game that I'm in at the moment that's allowing me to play with friends who are like scattered across the world. There's like zero chance I would get to play with those friends under normal circumstances. My home campaign is we've been bouncing over and back between online and face to face as circumstances have demanded. Like as the lockdown here in Vienna has been cranking up and down. Okay, but I used to go Friday Night Adventure League with like a bunch of the local gamers, which was an amazing scene with incredible energy. Like more people used to turn up every Friday night as newbies. As in, this is my first game of D&D than we used to get as intake per year at Trinity Gamers when I was doing it.
Wow, cool.
It's like the scene was just going woof, and all that goes away. Like it's the absolute wrong thing, of course, to do. A bunch of strangers, disparate locations, come together, shout at each other over a table for a couple of hours. No. So that's like, that is the thing I want to do also because I have not yet really gotten those roots. They're quite shallow into the local scene at the moment, I would say, and I want to build that out. That can't happen until it's okay to move around again. So yeah, I can see a lot of the stuff that we've learned this year allowing us to manage. Sorry, go Shane.
No, I'm just saying I'm sort of in a similar situation where I am looking forward to getting back to physical gaming and seeing all my friends in the flesh again and getting back to business. But I do find the the challenge of gaming over the COVID period has really got me thinking more about experimental different things to try and stuff like remote gaming and meeting up with people I wouldn't normally have, because I've been all over the country. I've met people in a few different places around the world, and I feel like it still represents an opportunity to keep trying new things, new formats. Like maybe one game can affect another, or I can have asynchronous games again, or something like that. Just something to add to the repertoire, as it were. Definitely keep it in the. Like we've had to make a lot of sacrifices this year, but I think from that comes opportunity, and I'm really curious to see if I can leverage all that we've learned this last year into something new and fresh and cool in 2021.
Excellent.
All right.
Liam, what's on your slate for 2021?
Hopefully move to a bigger house.
For your gnome collection to finally breathe.
Well, look, it's not that big a house, and we're tripping on top of each other, so I'd like to move to a bigger gaff, but that's about it.
fingers
In terms
crossed.
of gaming, yeah, I've said it. I mean, I want to get back to board gaming, that's it, you know. That's the thing that's really taken a hit. Like, my role-playing itch is being scratched, but not my board games itch.
Yeah.
Board gaming is in a shambles.
Wait, who have we not done?
Yeah.
Who?
You got it.
You.
You!
Me. Who cares what I want? I want
More
to
releases of Moy Hag, probably.
this
we all care.
this oatmeal porter is definitely probably going to form something of my repertoire for 2021. It's a hell of a lot more drinkable than the last shower
Previous
curtain
one.
I licked. 2021. Ooh. Doesn't have any cool movies or sci-fi properties attached to it, unfortunately. So I don't think there's much to look forward to. I'd have to
Set therein.
I'd have to check with my research
Here's what you're
assistants on
going
that one. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to taking the lessons of this year. Not an easy year, guys. Not an easy year at all of you listening at home. But these are the instructions. These are the hard lessons that you learn.
There
about
is actually a Wikipedia page for. Sorry.
the hell with you,
There's a
Warlord
Wikipedia
Scar.
page for fiction set in 2021.
I mean, Donald Trump didn't have to suffer through this
Children
sort
of
of
Men,
live fact
apparently.
checking. Okay, go on. Give us a few before we finish.
Sorry.
What do I mean?
Aren't Children of Men
Children of Men
was,
is one of the finest
September.
science fiction movies ever made. It is an
Children of
amazing
Men
movie.
is. I saw
If
Children
you
of
haven't
Men.
seen it, watch it.
I saw it in the cinema during one of the con fests, one of those dead evenings at the end of a con, and
Oh, that
it
particular
rooted
session.
me to
You
my
There were
chin.
no dead evenings
went in
at
drunk
Conrad.
and you were dead sober by the end.
You were there, yes. Sorry, what was that, Evil Robot Shane?
Yeah. No, I
There
was
were no dead
there.
evenings at Confess.
Well, I had some time to burn before I got back on the train, but it was down in Sligo. Confess. It was a wonderful convention that was run by the Flat Earth Gaming Society, who are great guys.
Better.
But I watched, as Warlord Scar says, I went into that cinema having had a few, and I came out stone cold sober. It is the most terrifying. I don't think I could even watch it now that I'm a dad, but it's the most terrifying film I think I'd ever seen. It's a tour de force cinema. Well worth a look. I'm not sure I'd ever put players through something
Yeah.
like it, though. Any others for 2021?
Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic was apparently
Fine
set in
cyberpunk
2021
movie.
as well.
Made by fine people with a fine script and a fine sense of the genre.
And then hacked apart by a studio into a barely coherent, rambling mess.
At least it's got our Lord and Savior Rihanna Keeves in it. Give us one more, and then I'll do my actual thoughts.
Sorry, I
of
just
what's coming.
noticed that. Sorry, I just got this one. Apparently, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 is set the year 2021.
Very
Now
good.
it is, certainly.
There you go.
What? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to more of this. Tonight was something of an experiment, and I think we might just carry it forward into the regular show on occasion. That we do something like this, where we're no longer shouting to the void. We're bricks in a wall that is built out of mutual affection and interest. A wall that's solid, dependable. You lean up against it. We all have our place. We all contribute. So I like this. I like seeing all of you folks. And I like all of those people out there who have helped the show this year by simply listening, by simply now watching. I like that they can see us too. I might not always have the best backdrops. Christmas, you make an effort. but I like this as a compass point.
Next
for the
Christmas, so
future.
I can get you Mr. Tato if you want.
I'm looking forward to my Bones 5 Kickstarter arriving fairly early in the new year, because I'm not much of a model painter, but I love the Bones stuff by Reaper Miniatures. I treated myself last year, and it'll come to fruition. So I've something, a package of joy from past me, who, as Conrad Kinch says, past me loves future me and sends little presents. So I'm
I
looking
promised
forward to
myself I wouldn't buy any more Bones until I finished with the last one.
Liam,
I haven't even started with the last one, so
I'm still working through. So Bones 1 was my first Bones, and Bones 5, because I'm now sort of getting to the end of Bones 1. I treated myself to Bones 5. But I'm looking forward to those little presents from the past for future me. You know, not all of them are Kickstarters. Some of them are just lessons learned. I'm not going to take an awful lot from this year, but the things I'm taking with me are the things I think are going to do me some good going forward. And I think we should all try and pick very carefully the things that matter and the things that have helped us and the things we enjoyed from 2020, and let's not completely forget this year. It's a tough one, but the tough ones are often the ones that make everything else a little easier, a little better. I'm actually looking forward to doing more online stuff in terms of role playing. I've found it to be, I started as a GM, stressed out completely. I'm now in a game online that's monthly, and I'm playing with people I love and admire, and it's proving to be great fun as a player. And I'm looking forward to being a more understanding player, being a more supportive player. I want my GM to succeed. I want them to know that the work they're putting in matters, and it matters to me, and that they're doing all the right things. And I'm looking forward to more of our audience, you guys, reaching out, letting us know what you've enjoyed. Yeah. Becoming part of the conversation. Joining us online. The Discord has become a huge focus, a huge hub.
take a swing at that book.
What book? Mug? Sorry, I didn't catch that one.
Pass the book. Tread.
Oh yeah,
Take a swing at it.
I haven't participated in a while. Yeah, we've got this thing called the Pass the Book, which is
It's our ongoing trivia quiz thing.
It is where boys are turned into men. Quite frankly, it's like you get your. You thought the Times
Speaking of
crossword was
which-
hard.
Owen, you owe us a book.
I do. I thought I put that one up. All right.
All right, I'll
Fix that right now.
Clearly, we've no more time for this wonderful life shite.
Oh.
We did
I'm
so
looking-
well. We got like 2 hours without swearing, Mick.
Yeah, but here we are.
We're past the
It's-
watershed. It's okay.
Exactly. Half 9. It's what the hell I like. Let me tell you, those OSR guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the new year. Who's going to take us out?
Sounds good.
Sure, why not? I've only been, I'm only the concrete hero and all that, or possibly villain. But yes, thanks all for everyone for tuning in. Thanks for everyone who showed up. Former show notes, show friends, and old people, me included. We hope to do this again sometime, but stay tuned. Stay tuned to see how things are going into the new year. But for now, this party's over.
Party's over.
We don't have music. Good night, everybody. Enjoy Christmas. Enjoy the new year. Doom, da, doom, da,
Merry
doom,
Christmas,
doom,
everybody.
doom. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
How do I stop this thing? Hold
Happy
on.
New Year.
Stop streaming and wait
Does it
5
stop
years.
in OBS?
Oh yes,
Or
yeah.
is it just
We'll get it in editing.
stop it? And we're off.